So I don't know if you guys seen some of the other videos that I had, especially one here recently, where I had a leak from the fuel pump to the sending unit at the sending unit side, and that's the second time that's done that to me. Now it wasn't that leak that was causing my issue. It definitely wasn't helping. The fuel pump just got tired. As you've seen in one of my last videos, changing the fuel pump made a drastic difference. It changed the AFR about 2 full AFR over the other pump, me putting the new pump in. But that little thing, the line that comes in the kit, it just doesn't seem to fit the sending unit side enough to seal, no matter what kind of clamp that I use there. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. But I ordered this rubber hose. It's aramid fiber or whatnot, submersible for E85, gas and ethanol compatible, and tank submersible. Meets this code, whatever that means. So it's made out of fluoroelastomer synthetic rubber with aramid fiber reinforcement, whatever that means. But the main thing I was looking for was how much pressure can it hold. It holds 100 psi. We're set at 50 base pressure. We'll probably never go over 20 pounds of boost. So the 1-to-1 fuel pressure regulator, that'd put us about 70. Even if we went to 30 pounds of boost, that'd only be 80. So we're well within the 100 psi here. And the temperatures, I mean, it can handle 200 plus degrees. It's never going to get that hot in the gas tank. So yeah, I'm going to put this rubber hose on there today.
I don't know how well y'all can see that, but look how much bigger that is than the pipe. And no matter what I put on there, it won't seal. Maybe if it would reach that part it would, but it won't reach that far. So yeah, we got this one that I showed you earlier. Racetronics SAE 30R10 3/8 FKM aramid submersible fuel hose, 100 psi, and E85 compatible. So we're going to put that one on there. That fits way better. It'll squeeze it, since it's rubber, it'll squeeze down on there. This plastic stuff, again, I don't know what it's made out of, but it won't squeeze even. There's no way, there's just no way it can. But anyway, I'm gonna put her back in just like that. Rubber and E85 gas tank. You. Works like a charm. I'm way more comfortable with that. So tomorrow, if I need a couple more pieces to put the boost controller on, and if that comes in tomorrow, we'll put that on. But again, just to let's look at this one, just to explain how these wastegates work. So you got a port for the top and a port for the bottom. There's a diaphragm right in the middle. So when you got boost pressure coming to the bottom, it helps open that diaphragm, which opens this port in here to allows the boost pressure to come out here. Now when you take away boost pressure to this port, it makes it harder for that spring to the diaphragm to open that spring. There's a spring in here, and they're rated at certain pounds, but a 7-pound spring with full boost here is supposed to open at 7 pounds. It normally doesn't work that way. Like mine, with it like that, opens, my 7-pound spring opens at 5. But I think once we put that Turbo Smart boost controller on there where it has some restriction to it, it might be 7 pounds. But if you take all the pressure away from the bottom of this diaphragm, the only thing that can open it now is the pressure created in your hot side, which usually doubles the size of the spring. So this 7-pound spring should now go up to 14 pounds if we remove all the pressure off this bottom port on the wastegate for the bottom of the diaphragm. And basically, that's what this does. It controls how much pressure is going to the bottom of that wastegate. by bleeding off the pressure that can go to it. So we should be able to adjust this one with our 7-pound spring from 7 to 14 pounds. That's the idea anyway.
So now if you have dual wastegates like I got, this is how you normally hook it up. And if you're coming off straight off the turbo and you come in here, there's a check ball and a spring that keeps pressure from going back this way. And again, I think that's only there if you hook this up to the vacuum side of the intake rather than instead of straight from boost pressure. So I took that out, and the reason I took that out is because that would cause a restriction to begin with and make the boost a little bit higher than what you'd normally have if you had this just running straight to the wastegates, which would give you less adjustability, and so that's why I took that out. But now this is the way you generally hook it up. It goes up, it goes across. If you're running 2 wastegates, do a T, and just a normal T. There's an arrow that points where it goes to the wastegates. And yeah, and this says equal lengths, so I made these equal lengths even though I had to wrap this one under the car a little bit. But now what I'm doing is this. Now, mine came with this piece. Again, this piece has a check valve, a ball, and a spring for like a check valve, so pressure can't come back this way. Which again, I think that's only for if you're running it to an intake port. You'd have to have that, or it would create a vacuum leak. But if you're coming off just off the turbo, I don't think you have to have that. But so I took them out on mine. But you can leave them in. It don't matter. It just causes a little restriction, and you won't be able to turn it as low as if you would as if, you know, if these were going straight to the wastegate. It's going to cause a restriction. There's not much pressure, as much pressure going to be able to make it to your wastegates, which in turn will turn up boost. But yeah, so I did it like this. Some of you might say, well, your boost controller don't look like this. It don't. So but you can still use it this way. So this side over here would have the check ball and the spring, and nothing would be able to blow past this. So instead, when I loosen this to turn the boost up, I got 2 ports on the side that it would come out at. Rather than this specific one, this one's specifically made for in-cab. It just hooks there, and then this goes to atmosphere. But you can use the one I got the same way. It came with this little piece to be able to do the in-cab thing. So that's the way I've ran it. I've got the I come off the turbo, and then I have the T, and then I go to both wastegates, and then I come up to the port that says wastegate on the particular one I have, and then mine's got 2 bleeder ports. So with this turned all the way to negative for boost, nothing to come out here. So it's all going to go straight through here and straight through here and help open the wastegates and give me the least amount of boost. Now when I start turning this to plus to turn the boost, it's going to create a leak right here for these 2 holes. So boost to come here, a little bit to go this way, and then some of it to come out, and then come out these 2 sides on the particular one I've got. But I just want to explain to y'all how to hook it up. Now most people do in-cab and just do this. This is the easiest way. Come up to the boost controller, boom, to the wastegate, bottom port, done. If you're running 2 of them, same thing, just a little T right here. Boost pressure into this. The arrow points to the wastegates. T, boom, boom, wastegates. Make these equal length, it says. I don't see how that would matter, but apparently it does because it's in there.
So actually, we're not using any vacuum here, and I think that's what that check ball's for. You'll see I put it down in there, but that check ball fits up in there, I guess, and right there, and that fits up in the hole. And that piece I took out, which is right there where my thumb's at, and it keeps it from causing a vacuum leak. I think if we take that out, number one, I can use my push locks better. I think it'll also give me a more adjustability, because with that restriction in there and that really small hole that's in the end of that, I think that's going to make us lose some adjustability. And I'll test that theory, but for now I'm going to take the ball and the spring out, And when it's all the way closed, already tested, I can blow straight through it. And then once I loosen this, pressure comes out these sides. So it'll give us more adjustability. Besides that, that turbo, I think that turbo's only going to go up. It's a GT45. I think it's only going to go up to about 12 pounds. So we'll be able to have adjustment from 5 to 12 pounds. So after doing more research, if you wanted to use this like in cab, and the reason the way they do this is because when you hook it up, just boost pressure and then to the wastegates, you want everything as close as you can get it. But now, if you want to use this and do this as in cab, what you would do is you would leave that other piece on there with the spring and the check ball, because that keeps pressure from coming out this way. So what you would do is boost pressure would go in here, this one, and there's a ball and check spring in there too, and then this one would go to the wastegates, and then this one would come up to here to the where it says wastegates, and then it won't let it blow through here because the ball and check valves seal it, and then it vents the atmosphere out these two side holes. And we'll probably do that later, but for right now we're just going to put it in the engine bay. But yeah, that's how you want to do it. You can run this all the way in the cab and run a hose from here to here, and you could even just block this port, and then you would use this to unscrew it to let the pressure out these side ports. I could probably just go get an 1/8 inch MPT, that's what those are, and put a cap in there, because pressure is going to escape the easiest route, and this would be the easiest route, would be these two holes when you turn up the boost. So rather than it coming through here into the wastegates, it'll see that little bit of leak that you create here and come this way and then come out these sides. We might go ahead and do that. I think I got an 1/8 inch MPT cap somewhere. If not, I can go get one. And I went ahead and removed the spring and the check ball, just because I think they only put that in there if you're using a vacuum source for your boost pressure reference, and we're not doing that. We're coming straight off the turbo, and that ball and that little bitty hole that's in these would act like a restriction. I don't want a restriction. I want to be able to turn it down as far as I can. Honestly, like if I'm bracket racing, I want to turn it all the way down. I mean, even turned all the way down, it runs a 6.7 in the 1/8 and a 10.6 in the 1/4. So I want as much adjustability as I can get. So it seems like that would turn it up to 7-8 pounds, just the restriction in there. So I'm going to take that out. That way we have no restriction. Again, I think that's only if you're using like an intake vacuum source for your boost pressure reference. But yeah, hook it up. Alright, so it goes straight down. It comes out of that and goes straight down, then it goes to a T, and both those go to the wastegates, and both these lines and the one that goes over to the other wastegate, they're the same length. I had to kind of loop that one around under the car just to make it the same length, because the directions say equal length. So, and then I forced that lock hose on there. It was hard to get on there, and I put a zip tie on it. That thing ain't going nowhere. And I got that running up around here, up the side in front of the battery. And then up the side here. And then through that grommet hole that all the wires from the ECM go through, if you can see that. And it comes out here underneath the dash. Now, I just need to I could put that side back on with the spring and the check ball, and the check ball would keep it from leaking. It's a one-way check ball, so But I don't trust that, so I'm gonna go get an 1/8 inch MPT plug to put on that end, and that'll be it. So we got boost pressure going to both wastegates, and then when I turn that knob on the manual boost controller, then instead of going to that, it'll come out that knob, those side ports, and bleed off, and not as much will be going there that way, and it'll raise the boost. And again, I did take the spring and check valve out of that one too, just because I think that spring and check valve is just for if you're running it to like a vacuum port like this. This would have vacuum. Now, if that check ball wasn't there to pull that back when we're under vacuum, it will cause a vacuum leak. Now, when we get into boost, it blows out. That's my thinking anyway. But yeah, I'll try to figure out a place to mount this thing. Thinking about just putting it right there in that little cubby hole, and then run the line up through there and back under there underneath there. But tomorrow we'll go racing. They got the Screaming Eagles list at Kentucky Dragway. If you're a street car with tags and stuff like that, they put the fastest cars in order, and then they have the Screaming Eagles thing ever so often. You got to go on those days to be able to qualify for the list. And that's tomorrow for the car show and drag race. So I'm going to go try to get on that Screaming Eagles list. The 10.6 would put me on the list to start out with. Now, usually towards the end of the year, to start out with, there are some 11, 12 second cars that get in that top 10 list. But towards the end of the year, it's usually all 9 second cars, some 8 second cars, and some low 10 second cars. So I think if we turn that thing all the way up, we might be able to run a 9. No, y'all tune in for tomorrow and see.